Hello, Iman. I can't hear you. Is it me or you? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was muted. How are you, Dan? How are you? Hope
Good.
all is
I'm
well.
all good. How are you doing?
Good. Are you
Alhamdulillah.
in Cairo, by the way?
I am in Cairo. Yes.
Ah, good. Yeah, the salary that I told you about yesterday was not really a French salary. It was something in between,
Yeah.
very tiny French salary.
Oh,
But anyways, we
um, yeah, there is, I think there is a third variety in Egypt. We have the truly Egyptian one, which is the
yes,
green, very dark green. Then we have the French one. Then we have when it's kind of out of season and they can't really get it right. You get the French one that's sort of a hybrid between the French and the Egyptian. Yeah.
exactly. This is exactly what last night. But yeah, I'll try it out hopefully by Thursday, inshallah.
Yeah. Yeah. Try it out. If it's really, really bitter, like really unbearable, this is not about torture, right? Either add an apple to it or switch out for cucumber juice. That always works.
Okay, خلاص done.
Okay.
Done deal.
Let me just check on the group, see where everybody is today. Did everybody get scared or what?
Sure.
Just make sure nobody's stuck or nobody's not able to get on the call, and then we can start. Oh, here we go. Everybody's coming on. Hello, how are you? You're muted. I can't hear you. And Marwa's also here.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
So are you, because I have a Zena and I have a Zainab.
I'm a Zainab.
You're the Zainab. Okay, good. Now that I know. All right, so let's get started. It's 12:02. Let me just, out of curiosity, how many of you, and those of you watching the replay also obviously, are keeping track of your critter brain thoughts? I can't do this. I don't have enough time. I can't go do the grocery shopping. I have an event coming up. Let me delay my start date. I'm too confused. I'm too overwhelmed. All of those, believe it or not, are thoughts that your critter brain is going to try and push through as much as possible to create resistance for you around this process. And most of us are never aware of the power of our thoughts and how our thoughts basically control our day to day without us knowing it. We do have a very special class dedicated to this called the thought model. It's later on. But we'll get into a lot more detail about how your thoughts are they're the ones running the day, whether you're aware of it or not. So, Iman, the food prep is scaring me. Perfect example. That is a thought, Iman, that your critter brain is giving you to create resistance so that you don't do this. In and of itself, is food prep scary? This is what you have to ask yourself. And what does scary mean, right? And this is really interesting that this is the thought your brain is giving you, because scary can equal life threatening, right? When we think of something scary, we think of being attacked, we think of something hurting us, we think of something that, we're going to scream, you think maybe of a horror movie. That's scary. So your brain is equating food prep with something that's scary. That's to what extent it wants you to not do this process. So it's important that you are aware of it. It's going to keep throwing these thoughts at you, even when you overcome them. So Iman has done this. So she knows she's going to do this because she's done it before. She's going to overcome this how? By attending the sessions here, the small steps, attending the sessions, whether live or the replay, by reading the material over and over and over again to gain confidence. How do we overcome the feelings of fear, something being scary, something being too much, something being overwhelming? Because at the root of it is a lack of confidence. This is something new that you're doing. So you build up your confidence by building up your knowledge and by taking the small steps. even if the step is imperfect. By doing those things, you reinforce to your critter brain that this process that you're going through is not scary and it's not going to harm you. So when you wake up in the morning and you make your lemon water and you make your celery juice and you make your smoothie and you consume them, believe it or not, that's not just I'm taking the step to eat the healing foods. That's I'm taking the step to convince my critter brain, to calm my critter brain, to reassure my critter brain that what I'm doing is safe. And then every time you repeat this step, you reinforce that, and then those thoughts start to go away. The bad news is that every single time you overcome a thought and you overcome that resistance and you implement a new habit, and let's say at the end of this program, this way of eating becomes your new normal, your healing. Anytime you want to venture into anything new in your life, not just in health, the critter brain is always going to be there. It never shuts down. Every time we shut it down, it's going to find another way to derail us, maybe in your health, maybe in your relationships, maybe at work. It's always trying to keep you exactly where you are. So be very mindful of it. Be very mindful what the thought is. I want to delay it because I have an event. It's too much reading. I can't keep up. The food prep is scaring me. The cravings have gone up. So we haven't even started, right? You haven't technically removed any of the foods yet, but the critter brain is saying, you know what? On Thursday, you're not going to get coffee. You're not going to get bread. You're not going to get desserts. You're not going to get a lot of things. So you know what? I'm going to give you this surge of cravings to show you what you're going to be missing. All of these, the mind and the body are completely interconnected. We can never have one separated experience. If the mind is thinking something, it's going to trigger the body to follow along with the experience. So be very, very wary of this. Right now, it's not a sign of your weakness that you're having these thoughts. It's exactly what your brain is supposed to be telling you. Your responsibility is to listen and to acknowledge that this is nothing but resistance and to continue with the steps to overcome that resistance. All right. So in case you weren't having enough resistance, today we are going to talk about the foods that we're going to remove during the program. Yesterday, I mentioned briefly that this whole process is about unlearning just about everything you know or have heard or have experienced about health, unlearning all of it, learning something completely new that you're going to have a direct experience of in your body, and then relearning it or putting it on repeat so that you can turn it into a new habit and a new lifestyle. So the first thing we have to unlearn is the foods that we've all consumed, all of us, since childhood until today, the ones that we think are completely normal, the ones we think are completely okay for us to eat. This is the first thing we have to unlearn. These have to go. And the reason they have to go is because every single symptom and condition that any of you are experiencing, and if you go through and read everybody's introductions, you'll see we have, it ranges from the very milder symptoms, the more simpler symptoms like lack of energy, insomnia, feeling tired throughout the day, maybe headaches here and there, to it goes up a little bit more to painful periods, irregular periods, to endometriosis, to PCOS, to thyroid issues, to diabetes, insulin resistance, and we've got all the way up, all ADHD and cancer. So if you look at all the symptoms amongst you ladies and conditions in this group, you're going to see that they go from the mildest to the biggest. And the reason why we have to learn about these foods is because every single one of these conditions, the root cause is something called inflammation. And many women will ask me when they're curious about the program, why is it a one system program for all of these different conditions? How can it be that somebody with ADHD and somebody with a thyroid issue and somebody with endometriosis and somebody with just insomnia or low energy are all going to be able to heal from the same eating system? And the reason for that is the root cause for all of these conditions is the same, and it's something called inflammation. At its root, inflammation is a good thing. Inflammation is an automatic response. It's self-automated in the body. It's a self-automating healing response. You don't know anything about it. When the body needs to use inflammation to heal, it triggers it, it heals whatever needs healing, and then it turns off. We can see that physically externally on our bodies. So let's say you cut yourself in the kitchen. You're making food and you cut yourself a really bad gash, or you have kids, and if you've ever seen your kids stumble and fall and scrape their knee, and then that spot where they fell sort of forms a scab, turns a little bit red, then a scab forms, and then the scab falls off and it's done. Or when you cut yourself in the kitchen, if it's not, where you need stitches, but a little cut, it'll also turn red, and then maybe a little scab, and then it closes on its own and it's healed. That is the process of inflammation. When there's an injury in your body, automatically the body triggers the process of inflammation to heal it, and then it turns it off. You have nothing to do with it. You don't turn the process on, you don't turn the process off. The body knows how to heal itself. The same thing happens on the inside of your body. Obviously, the difference is we can't see what's happening on the inside of the body. We can't see when we get internally injured, or what causes an internal injury, or if the body has triggered inflammation to solve the problem or not, or if it's turned it off. But the same process happens inside the body. The difference, of course, is what is the source of the injury? On the outside of your body, I cut myself with a knife. My child fell and scraped his knee. I broke a bone. There's something that sort of inflicts the injury on us, and we can see it. Internally, the source of the injury is everything you eat, everything you drink, all the chemicals that you might be putting on your skin from your beauty products, the air that you breathe, and all of your emotions and how you process those emotions, stress or otherwise. We have no idea how all of those things, once they're inside our body, how are they interacting with our cells and our organs and our systems? And are they interacting the way they should be? Are they creating internal damage? Is our body, as a result, having to trigger inflammation to help solve any potential injury or not? The answer is, if you have any symptom at all, that is your body giving you a signal that something you're ingesting, food, drink, air, emotions, chemicals, is having a negative effect on the inside of your body, and the body has indeed triggered the inflammation process to help heal it. It's not able to heal it, so it's had to keep the inflammation process ongoing, and it's when the inflammation process doesn't turn off that then it starts to work against you. So unlike an external injury, you see the beginning and the end. You see the cut, you see the process of healing, you see it healed, inflammation turns off. Unless you go and take a knife and keep re-injuring yourself on the same spot, the body heals it. And this is why the internal inflammation is different, because you don't know what the source is. You don't know that drinking your coffee every single morning is creating an internal source of inflammation. So you keep drinking the coffee over and over and over again. You don't know that your melted cheese sandwich is creating inflammation inside your body, or that the eggs, or that the Diet Coke, or any of the inflammatory foods. So what happens is you consume these foods, the body is like, nope, these are really highly processed, highly toxic foods. This body was not created to break down these foods. They're slowly creating an erosion, an injury internally. Right. We know what to do. I have inflammation. Inflammation is going to solve it. And it would solve it, except that you keep re-injuring by re-consuming the source of the injury over and over and over again, until inflammation can never shut down in your body, because there's a continuous influx of the source of the injury. So inflammation in and of itself is a healing process, but when it's continuously turned on to deal with a continuous influx of injury, that's when it turns against you. That's when then the inflammation turns into insomnia, diabetes, ADHD, thyroid, cancer, you name it. Every single one of those. So the only difference between all of you is where your inflammation is showing up in your body. Is it showing up in your thyroid? Is it showing up in your reproductive organs? Is it showing up in your nervous system? Is it showing up in your joints? But the root is exactly the same. And that's why the process of healing is exactly the same. And the process of healing requires, in order to bring down this inflammation, wherever it is in your body, requires two things. Requires us to remove the source of the injury or the toxicity, and then to replenish the deficiency. So your systems and your organs are not only being injured by the toxins you're taking in, they're also not getting enough raw material in order to function optimally. And I want you to think of this word as we go through this process, optimally, not just functioning okay, not just functioning within normal lab results. We want to function optimally. That means thriving. So in order to do that, we need to remove all the toxins, replenish the deficiency. A lot of people, especially now, there's so much knowledge. I think more or less people are starting to see that, wheat can be problematic, dairy can be problematic. At the very least, people are understanding that junk food is problematic. So they'll say, okay, I've removed all of this stuff, but I still don't feel better, because that's only half of the process, is removing the source. Hardly anybody does part two, which is replenishing the deficiency. So healing requires two steps. Absolutely. You can't do one without the other. You can't just remove toxins and not replenish. And a lot of people will go in and say, but I'm eating lots of fruits and lots of vegetables, but they're still keeping the bread and the pasta and the coffee and still not feeling better, because you can't do one without the other. So today we're going to talk about the toxins that have to be removed, step one. And tomorrow we'll talk about replenishing the deficiency, which is step two. So in your detox guide, I have two lists of foods that need to be removed. One is an absolute must, and I think it's non-negotiable. When you look at that list, I don't think anybody's really going to argue, even if you're not happy about the list. You really can't argue. You can't argue about junk food. You can't argue about artificial sweeteners. You can't argue about alcohol. You can't argue about processed foods, seed oils. You might not like not having your favorite junk food anymore. You might not like having to stop drinking coffee, but on some level, you know that these foods are, we weren't really created to process these foods. So those are the foods that are going to be out for the entire duration of the 3 months. Your body doesn't need these foods. Your body doesn't need caffeine. It doesn't need any of the processed sugars. It doesn't need artificial sweeteners. It doesn't need soy, doesn't need yeast, doesn't need alcohol, doesn't need processed foods, doesn't need soft drinks, definitely doesn't need all the processed seed oils. And then we're also obviously going to remove gluten. The body was not made to process gluten and dairy. Our bodies have a very, very hard time processing dairy. The other part of that list is the one that it can be a bit confusing, because on that list, you do have whole foods, natural whole foods. You have the animal protein, you have eggs, you have beef, you have chicken, you have lamb, you have lentils, you have beans. So these are not ultra processed foods. Like the other list of foods that I've listed, even things that like bread and pasta, right? All of these are factory produced foods. When they come to you on your plate, they don't look like what they look like in nature. They had to go through a process, a man-made process, to turn them into a product that you buy at a supermarket off the shelf. Take it, you put it on your plate. So they're factory produced, shelf stable products that don't look like the way they originally looked in nature. So at some level, we can start to rationalize why our bodies wouldn't recognize these foods and why our bodies would have a hard time processing these foods. But when it comes to animal protein, when it comes to beans and lentils, we basically get them looking the way they get in nature. I mean, you're not going to eat beef or chicken raw. They get slaughtered. They have to get cooked. You eat them. So this is where you might have a more difficult time wrapping your mind around, why am I removing these foods? And I'm going to explain that. So the basic list of processed and ultra processed foods, we remove that because we were never created to eat these foods to start with. These are man-made, factory-made, like I said, shelf-stable foods that never started with us. If you look back, like when was the first man? Like 100,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago? Did they have artificial sweeteners then? Did they have Diet Coke? Did they have any Cokes? Did they have whey protein, protein powders, synthetics? No, they didn't. What did original man eat? He ate. He hunted. Animal protein, he ate. Whatever fruits and berries and wild fruits and vegetables growing around him, some nuts, some seeds, some beans, not a lot. They basically ate what was readily available, whatever was easy to prepare, and what was in season. There was nothing packaged, nothing came in a box, there was no factories, obviously. Everything was wild and straight, what they just ate what was there in their surroundings. So our literal, physiology and our digestive system hasn't changed too much. It actually hasn't changed at all in the 200,000 years. Your digestive system was created to digest animal protein, fruits, vegetables, some nuts, and some seeds. I would say grains at a lesser level because they also weren't introduced into our food chain until much longer, and because they were much harder to prepare. So anytime something is really difficult to prepare, know that you're not meant to consume that frequently, which also applies to animal protein. So they weren't eating animal protein every single day, every single meal, because they had to go and hunt this massive animal. They had to go and hunt it. They had to go and find it. They had to go and bring it back and then slaughter it. So it wasn't something that was always there. They ate it, but it wasn't something that was eaten in large quantities consistently. And there were definitely times when they went without, during famines, during cold season, when they didn't have access to the animals. But it does fit in animals, fruits, and vegetables, basically fit into the umbrella of what our bodies physiologically can break down and process and absorb and make use of. Everything else you see, gluten, which is basically bread, dairy, all of these things did not come into our food chain, especially gluten, bread, until about 10,000 years ago. So humans lived without it. Let's assume human beings are 200,000 years old. If bread was only introduced 10,000 years ago, so humans lived without it for about 190,000 years. And bread it was introduced in Egypt, actually. And the seed of the original wheat seed has nothing to do with the current genetically modified seed of today. So even when they were consuming gluten 10,000 years ago, it really didn't have gluten in it. That's something that happened later with the genetic modification of it. They didn't eat it every day. They were eating a little piece of bread every day. They weren't eating bread, pasta, cereals, cakes, cookies, you name it. All of that came in with the industrial and agricultural revolutions of about 100 and 150 years ago. Prior to that, people were sticking mainly to animal protein, fruits, and vegetables. So you can imagine our digestive system that went for thousands and thousands of years eating very simple foods from nature that have all the vitamins and minerals and amino acids that we recognize, disease-free. So you never heard of, in the 100,000 years of man eating this way, cancer, diabetes, thyroid issues, autoimmune, Alzheimer's. You never heard of those things. These illnesses only started to come up with the introduction of processed foods, factory-made foods, too much bread, too much gluten, dairy, and all the other synthetics that have since come into our systems. So in order for us to heal, we have to go back to the old way. We have to go back to the original way. And we remove all of these things to give your system a break. Animal protein, even though it is part of how we eat, it's not problematic in and of itself. It has become problematic. It has become problematic, one, because of the way that they grow and raise these animals. So 100,000 years ago, they would catch the animals wild. The animals were living within nature. They were eating what was available to them in nature. They weren't being force-fed the way animals are being force-fed in farm factories today. So cows today are being force-fed. A cow in nature, left on its own, will only graze on grass and only needs to graze on grass and nothing else. A cow in a farm factory, it will be given gluten and soy and the remains of other animals and garbage, anything to plump them up, right? on top of which they're given hormones, especially if the cow is a lactating cow that needs to produce milk. So that cow is going to be given synthetic hormones to keep her lactating for years. So imagine, as women, our milk comes in when we deliver a baby, and the milk is there to feed our baby. We don't keep lactating for years. We lactate for 2 years max. That's it. And then it's done. But they need these cows to produce such incredible amounts of milk that the only way to do that is to give them massive amounts of synthetic hormones to keep them producing milk for years. And then because they keep these animals all crammed up in these farms, very, very close quarters, they don't want them to get sick and infect each other. So all of these cows, on top of the synthetic hormones, on top of the garbage they're given, on top of the food that is not created for their system as well, they're given antibiotics and medication. And all of this ends up whether in the meat or the dairy that you are consuming from these animals. So these poor animals, they're being altered to also have to deal with food that goes against their physical nature. They have to process it, give us substandard quality meat and dairy that then we have to process. All of it comes into our system. So when you have an issue with your hormones, and we're going to talk about hormones and what they are, when you have an issue with your hormones, whether that's a thyroid issue or a reproductive issue or a stress hormone issue, your body's already struggling to balance your own hormones. It cannot and will not process the addition of hormones from another animal, whether that's through the protein or through the dairy. It creates chaos within your own system, your own delicate system that's already trying to find a way to manage your own natural hormones. So you get an additional influx of not only the synthetic hormones of the animals, you also get the natural hormones of the animals, all on top of your own hormone load. So in and of themselves, they're not a problem. They become problematic because of that. And then when you have a digestive system that is overburdened because you're drinking 3 cups of coffee a day, you're eating bread, you're eating cheese, you're eating processed foods, you're eating junk, you're taking Tylenol every time you have a headache, you have already weakened your own system. Not intentionally, of course, you don't know that. So even when you try and consume something that comes technically from nature, like a piece of steak, piece of chicken, or even if you come and consume a fruit or vegetable, it might be problematic for you because your system is becoming eroded from the ultra-processed toxic foods. So we have to create a completely clean slate for you to work on. The obvious problematic foods and the ones that belong to nature that you should be able to consume also have to go because they've become problematic. So as you go through this process and we create this clean slate, we will bring back animal protein. We will not bring dairy specifically for women because that will always remain a major hormone disruptor. But we will bring back a little bit of animal protein. We will bring in a little bit of whole grains, and each one of you is going to have a slightly different equation of how much of each you can eat. This is where it gets different. So we start off with the same basic system of removing the sources of inflammation. But once you've done that, each one of you then will have a little bit different blueprint, we call it, for how she eats within the healing framework. Some of you will be able to bring in all animal protein and be able to digest it without a single symptom, no headaches, no bloating, no fatigue. And over time, it won't trigger painful periods or endometriosis pain or migraines. And then that's your composition. You're able to handle it. Other women might try and do the same thing and realize that no matter what they do, the steak is going to trigger a night sweat. And over time, eating animal protein still gives them a very, very heavy period. It hasn't gotten any better. So they might have to limit it. Some of you might bring in lentils and discover that no matter what you do, they still cause you bloating. They still cause you headaches. It means your body is not processing. So even within the umbrella of the healthy foods, Some of them might not work for you. And again, that doesn't mean that they're never going to work for you. It might take you 6 months, it might take you a year of healing your digestive system, of reversing all of your symptoms, and then you can try again and bring them in. I know it took me a few years to be able to eat red meat without any triggers. When I was first going through this process, eating red meat instantly that night would give me a night sweat. It was one of the first things. And if I ate it regularly, let's say every single day, then every single cycle I would get would be very painful and very heavy. I had to work out my own equation. So more fish, less red meat, until my system was basically fortified that now I can have steak and nothing will happen. Zero. I'll sleep through the night, no night sweats, no triggers whatsoever. But each one of you is going to be a little bit different with this. So it is a process of trial and error after we create a clean slate. And we do that by removing everything. The ones that are obviously inflammatory and never have to be reintroduced again, like you never ever, and when we say we never have to reintroduce it, it means that by never bringing this food in, you will never be deficient. So you will never be deficient if you never drink coffee again, or if you never have alcohol again, or if you never have artificial sweeteners again, if you never have bread again, you will never be deficient. It won't cause a problem in your body. If you never have milk again, if you never have soft drinks again, you will never be deficient. So we're going to remove those. We're also going to remove potential inflammatory foods like animal protein. And then you bring them back in the dose that you feel is right for you. And this might sound like, well, how am I going to know? When we get to that phase, you will know. When you've cleared your body, it will be very easy for your body to give you the signal as you experiment. It will give you very clear signals. This is working, this is not working. And we're going to get to that. I'm just explaining the process as a whole. So these are the food toxins that we are removing. The other toxins, chemicals in your beauty products and stressful emotions that you might not be processing, we're going to talk about later. I'm talking about food now because obviously we're starting the plan on Thursday and you need to have a clear understanding of what is out for the 3 months and what is going to be temporarily out. So starting Thursday, we are going to ease ourselves into the detox. We're not going to go deep into a deep detox starting Thursday. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all of these that first list is all out. The caffeine, the alcohol, the sweeteners, the eggs, the soy, the yeast, the gluten, the dairy, all of those are out. But we will keep a little bit of animal protein and a little bit of the whole grains like lentils. We do that to ease the body into the detox process, to ease your liver into the detox process. And then Sunday, we then additionally remove all the protein and all the grains. So you're going into a deep detox starting Sunday. So what is the process starting Thursday? Starting Thursday, even though it's not a deep detox, you will start your morning routine of lemon water, celery, and the smoothie. This doesn't change for at least the first month. So there's no confusion there. Lemon water, celery, and your smoothie stays the same for the first month. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because we have some animal protein and some whole grains, there's more flexibility there. For lunch and for dinner, you get to go in and choose what you want to eat for those meals from the Clean Eating Guide. The Clean Eating Guide has recipes that are vegetable-based, but you can add some animal protein to that. And there's also, some of them have lentils and beans and things like that. You don't have to make a different recipe for lunch and dinner on Thursday, and then another 2 different recipes for lunch and dinner on Friday, and then another 2 different recipes for Saturday. If you look through the Clean Eating Guide and there's one recipe that looks like it's really, really good, and it looks very simple for you to make, manageable in terms of time, repeat it the 3 days, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner, lunch and dinner. Maybe there's one other one you want to put in there for a little bit of variety. Don't feel like the way to do this is to have to make all of these different recipes. You have a large choice so that you have variety. Simplify it by choosing 1 or 2 and repeat them for the 3 days. That's all you need to do. And then starting Sunday, you'll follow the eating schedule document. So for the first 3 days, you have, some leeway. I'm going to have my morning routine and then I'm going to pick recipes from the Clean Eating Guide. Starting Sunday, you take your eating schedule document and you follow that exactly. So you don't have a lot of flexibility there. You might have some flexibility in like, I'll add some vegetables. Maybe I can't find broccoli, so I'll do more zucchini, that kind of flexibility. But you will follow that plan almost to a T starting Sunday from your eating schedule. Is that clear, ladies? Does anybody have any questions on that process?
Hi Dana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Marwa?
I'm fine. It's very clear for me, and I'm very excited to do it. However, I have a little bit of challenge that on Sunday I will be traveling. It will be the day of my travel. I'm totally okay. I didn't check yet the recipes and the routine. However, I'm totally okay to cut everything.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that it's okay to eat raw stuff like raw vegetables and fruits on that 3 days, at least for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, till I'm settled in a place or so. Is it okay?
Yes. So if you haven't seen the meal plan yet, starting Sunday, the morning routine is the same, which is the lemon water and the celery and the smoothie. And then lunch and dinner are basically a combination of salad. So anything you want in the salad, any vegetables can go in the salad as much as you want. So all different types of lettuce, all different types of greens. You can put tomatoes, you can put onions, you can put cucumbers, you can put bell peppers, you can put cabbage, whatever you want. And then you also have a meal of cooked vegetables. And ideally, I've chosen the top healing vegetables, which are broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, mushrooms. And you can make those, and we'll talk about those tomorrow. But just to answer your question, if you don't have a way of making cooked food for those 3 days and all you can do is raw, then by all means, just know that the more raw you go, the deeper the detoxing. So we have some cooked vegetables in there so that the detox is even though it is a deep detox, it's still milder than if you're doing just raw. So you can definitely just do salads and you can definitely eat as much fruits as you want. So if that's easier for you, maybe making a fruit salad, maybe just munching on lots of apples and bananas and figs and mangoes, whatever you have, you can also do that. That will work. And which brings me to a really important point is you really can't do this program wrong. You can't do it wrong. If you've got the major foods out, that major list, wheat and dairy and processed sugar and seed oils and I don't know what, and we're working with fruits and vegetables, you cannot do it wrong. This isn't like one of those precision calorie counted or chemical diets where if you do one little thing, it throws everything off. Absolutely not. You can't do this wrong. You don't have apples or for whatever reason, and you need to have bananas, perfectly fine. You can't find broccoli, so you're going to put artichokes instead of the broccoli, perfectly fine. You decide to add fruits to your day as snacks, perfectly fine. You decide, right, I'm away for 3 days. The cooking is a little bit challenging. I'm just going to eat raw fruits and vegetables all day until I'm full. That's perfectly fine. You cannot do detoxing wrong. I would say the only thing that might derail results is eating too little, not eating enough. In this plan, we eat plenty until you're completely satiated and you're going to see a lot of women will tell me that they're full, that they actually can't finish the quantities that they have to start eating. Eating these quantities think of it as a medicinal dose. In order for the fruits and vegetables to work their magic, in order for their inherent healing properties to do what they need to do inside you, you have to have the right dose. So anything you want to eat in terms of fruits and vegetables, there isn't a single fruit that's out. The only vegetable that we just wait on a little bit is potatoes, because if I tell you eat potatoes, everybody will be eating just potatoes the whole day. That's the only one we sort of delay a little bit. Otherwise, every single vegetable is in, every single fruit is in. Eat them in any quantities that you want. This is how you heal. All right.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Jen, one second. Let me just answer Julie because she's hopping off. About eggs, please, and why they're trigger. Yes. Does it make a difference if the eggs are from our friends' free-range hens? No. So here's eggs. So eggs, when you think about an egg, whether it's your egg or a chicken's egg or any eggs, right? What is an egg? It is basically the hormonal control center for creating another live being of whatever that egg, wherever that egg comes from, right? It's a hormonal control center. So the same way that we move away from animal protein and dairy because we're taking in extra hormones that our already overtaxed body can't process, that's the same reason why we leave out eggs. Pure hormones. That little egg is pure hormones. Your body can't handle it. The other reason, there has been some research done that eggs can feed viruses. So they did some experiment where they sort of put eggs, different types of foods out, different fruits, different vegetables, and then they put eggs and they would sort of like drop a virus on each one and see where the virus would replicate. And it didn't happen with any of the fruits and vegetables. It happened with eggs. So if you are looking at any kind of condition that you have, all of us at any point in time are walking around with a number of pathogens and toxins and mini viruses in our bodies. And these can add to the toxic load and may be directly contributing to whatever condition you have. So when you eat an egg, that's inherently a hormone bomb and then potentially could feed viruses, you slow down or actually derail the healing process. And it doesn't matter if it comes from a free-range hen or whatever it is. It's still a hormonal control center. It can still feed viruses. It might not have the added hormones, right? It might not have the synthetic hormones of regular, industrial, conventional eggs, but it's still a hormonal control center full of hormones and potentially feeding viruses that will then feed your symptoms and your condition. All right. Let me know if that answers your question, Julie. And Marwa, where did she go? No. Okay, if you're watching the replay, Marwa, if I've answered your question, Jihan, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
I have two questions. Mushrooms have always caused some bloating for me.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they have benefits and you want them in the eating plan, or it's okay to avoid them.
Okay. I'm gonna get into more in detail in this tomorrow when I talk about all the vegetables you're going to introduce. But here's why that could be happening. So some of you might feel bloating from mushrooms, others might feel it from broccoli, garlic, onions. Some people feel it from fruits. The reason that that happens is not because there is a problem with the actual fruit or vegetable or mushroom. The problem is, what is the mushroom coming into? What's the terrain that is processing the mushroom, right? So if the broccoli or the mushroom or the apple or the garlic or the onion is coming into a terrain, your stomach, your intestines, that is full of pathogens and toxins and backed up bacteria from all of the bread and the cheese and the coffee and the alcohol and the medications and the junk and the seed oils you've been eating, right? All in there. Then what they do, because they're healing, is they're going to start to clear all this out for you. So they're going to attach themselves to the pathogens and the bacteria and the backed up toxins, and they're going to start to sweep them out of your system. It's a clearing process. And when they clear out pathogens and toxins, they're alive. If there's parasites in you, they're alive. When they go in to clear these out, they kill them. So there's a process of killing off live pathogens and parasites in your digestive system. And then there's a process of clinging to dead, backed up bacteria in your system. That process of moving and clearing out will and can feel like bloating. It can feel like gas. It can feel like pain. It can feel like diarrhea. It can feel like constipation. It's uncomfortable, but it's a good thing. So,
Okay.
And the reason women will stop eating these foods and then they don't feel the bloating anymore, they think, see, the problem was the mushroom. The problem was the broccoli. The problem was the garlic. When I don't eat them, I feel fine. You don't feel fine. All you've done is you stopped the healing process. You stopped the clearing process. So we want to keep eating these foods because we want them to keep clearing. And you might notice when you start to eat them that on the first or second day, you might find yourself almost maybe like a pregnant woman.
Mm.
That's how much bloating can happen. That is healing bloating. And then it might clear, and then it might come back again, and then it might clear because the body doesn't heal it at one level and it doesn't heal all at once. So there's a process to healing. You take a few steps forward, takes a few steps back. So be patient with the healing and the bloating. If this happens to any of you, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but if it gets to a point where it's really uncomfortable, let me know, and there's ways around it. There's ways to deal with if the clearing and healing process becomes too uncomfortable. All right. And this can happen to anybody. It doesn't mean that there's a problem with the fruit or the vegetable. It means that the body's finally getting a chance to clear. And that clearing process can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. We can't heal until we clear first.
Okay.
All right.
Second question,
Yes.
a quick one on honey. Is it, you mentioned somewhere, I think in the document, that we can add a spoon of honey to the lemon water.
Yes, you
So
can.
it's fine to have
Raw honey is spectacularly healing. You can add it to your lemon water in the morning. If you feel like adding a spoon to your smoothie,
herbal tea.
if you're
Okay.
having herbal teas, 100%. Honey,
Okay.
there's nothing wrong with honey. It doesn't raise blood sugar levels.
Mm.
Neither do any of the fruits that we're going to eat. That's a myth. Enjoy it. It is incredibly healing.
Okay, last question on creams. You mentioned also that they
Yeah.
are not that good. I have a morning routine. I wash, I put stuff. I have rose water that's bio and organic, but I have some creams. So do you recommend stopping them?
We
Do you-
will. Yes, we will. And the class on skin, I believe, is next week on skincare. And you do have, if you want to read ahead, there is a section in your detox guide about that. We will go through the skin products. You will go through the list of ingredients and see if your skin products, if they contain the toxic ingredients or not. And I will show you, you have in your detox guide a alternative way to clean your skin and take care of your skin that is non-toxic. We will definitely be getting to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Julie, thanks. So are they a hard no for health or can be added back later if they don't trigger like me? Yes, Julie. Julie left, but she'll watch the replay. So for example, I will eat eggs, actually the least. So I might have steak more, I might have salmon more. Eggs I leave, for example, when I'm on vacation. And you're out and you're going out for breakfast and you just have, scrambled eggs or something. If you bring them back as a staple, eggs especially, and some animal protein can do this also, they might re-trigger all of your symptoms. So yes, they will be part of the trial and error process to see if and how much you can bring back without triggering your symptoms. And especially, Julie, if we're looking at endometriosis and endometrial symptoms, you might not notice that except from one cycle to the next. So you might decide after 3 months, okay, I'm going to have eggs for breakfast now, and maybe have eggs 2 or 3 times a week. And on that day, not feel anything, not feel bloating, not feel tired, not feel a twinge of any kind. And so you tell yourself, okay, I'm okay with the eggs, and then have them again 3 times the following week and still feel nothing. But then your symptoms, which might have completely reversed in about 3 or 4 months. You're pain-free. You can function normally. The endometriosis is reversing. You might find that after eating eggs a few times a week for a month, when you get your next cycle, the pain comes back. So this is why there's sort of short-term experimentation and long-term experimentation. That doesn't mean that if you do that's wrong. Nothing you're ever going to do in this process is wrong. It's all providing you with data. It's all providing you with the way to tap into your body and listen to your body. So when and if that happens, you know that you can reverse it. You'll take out the eggs, presuming you haven't added anything else, and then the next cycle will balance and it will be fine. So we're going to talk about all these things as we go along. Specifically, when I said yesterday, please be visible to me. Please make sure you're sharing your experience. I'm talking about things like that. As we go through the process, how is your body reacting? What is your body's direct experience of something? Because that's the only proof of something, whether it's working or not, is what your body is showing you if it's working or not. Iman, can I prepare the veggies on weekly basis and freeze them? 100%. Anything that you can do to save time and to make this process sustainable. I posted on the group now how I prep smoothies. So you can do that and have all your smoothies ready for the whole week. If you want to batch all the vegetables that you're going to cook every day, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in a Tupperware, the mix of vegetables you're going to have every single day, and put those in the freezer and just remove them and pop them in the oven when it's time, 100%. You want to, what else can you do? Celery juice. If you want to make celery juice ahead of time and freeze it, you can also do that, but I would recommend you do that don't put them in glass jars in the freezer. They might explode. So you can measure out the portion, you can put it in Ziploc bags and take it out the night before and have that ready. Anything you can think of to simplify and sustain this, you do. Not a problem at all. Everybody's a bit different when it comes to the kitchen. Some of you love the kitchen, have time to be in the kitchen, will want to experiment, will want to come up with things, will want to make everything fresh in the moment. Some of you are not so like I am, like in love with the kitchen. You know that it's important. You know that it's something that is vital for health, for yourself and for your family. So that's sort of what motivates you to get in the kitchen. So once you're in, you know you need to do it, but you don't want to spend hours and hours. So you figure out ways to simplify it. Having said that, there is a learning curve because all of you are going to be shopping and buying and preparing so many more fruits and vegetables than you're typically used to. It might feel like at the beginning it takes so long to do all of this. There is a learning curve, and it feels like it's really frustrating and time consuming at the beginning, but the more you do it, the more you sort of figure out your own time hacks, your shortcuts, and then it starts to get easier and shorter and less time consuming with time. Any other questions, ladies? In today's email, I asked you to think about your big why for why you're doing this detox. So if you haven't looked at today's email yet, please do, and do have a think about that, because this isn't a diet. This isn't just a piece of paper with eat this and don't eat this, and you go home and you follow it, and your only goal is to change the number on the scale. Okay. If you're kind of in that mindset, I want you to pay attention to it, because this might be something that might derail you. If in your mind you're thinking, okay, I only have to do this for the 9 days, or I only have to do it for the 3 months, and then I'll go back to how I'm eating. There is no deadline for healing. We have a start date together, which was yesterday, and we technically have an end date together in November. But that's just the time that it takes me to teach you how to eat to heal, for you to implement this new way of eating to heal, for you to get used to it, for it to become part of your new normal, for you to navigate it with life, traveling, events. It doesn't mean that there's an end date. There is no end date to healing. There is no end date to eating in a way that fortifies your body. If you make a mental note to yourself that I'm just going to push through the 3 months and then I'll be able to do whatever I want, the body's just going to go back the other way. The same way that we remove toxins and we replenish deficiencies to heal, if you bring back the toxins and start, minimizing the healing foods, little by little, the symptoms will come back. The body is always, always reacting to what you're doing. It doesn't just act in a vacuum. So you want to be aware of this. If somewhere in the back of your mind, you're sort of reassuring yourself, right? I'm just going to do this for a little bit and then I'm going to go back. This is going to derail you. You want to start to think of this as an open-ended healing lifestyle change. You are making the changes that are going to last with you, God willing, until the rest of your life. So when you think about your why, like how I asked you to think about it in the email today, I want you to think about your future self. Think about yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. How do you see yourself in 20 years? Do you see yourself the way that you see your mother potentially, or your grandmothers as they get into their 60s and 70s and 80s? Are you seeing yourself able to wake up every day and be independent? You can do things for yourself. You can take care of yourself. You can, if you need to, do your own laundry, clean your own house, take care of the kids, take care of your grandkids, play with your grandkids. If you love to travel, or you're able to travel, or you're able to leave the house and come and go. Or do you have the image of your grandmother sitting at home, bedridden or couch-ridden, unable to move? Everybody sort of moves around her. She has somebody to bring her coffee in the morning, somebody who has to do all the cleaning. She can't leave the house a lot. Her joints hurt. She can't go out. She definitely can't play with her grandkids. She definitely can't travel. Anytime the family wants to go somewhere, they have to sort of work around her because she can and can't do this. Both of those versions are up to you. There's no such thing as this is just how it is and aging just looks like this. We know now that this is 100% not true. The way you age and the way you go through the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life are determined by what you eat, what you drink, what you put on your body, how you process your emotions, definitely how you move. I mean, I don't talk about movement here because I'm not a fitness coach, but movement is key as well to everything that you're doing. So think about your why, because if your why is, I want to lose 5 kilos, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. But how far is that going to get you? Versus, I want to live without medication. I want to live symptom-free and disease-free. I want to wake up every single day excited about my life, thriving, and able to do everything I want to do. So think about that deeply today. Think about your why, because the way that you get older is 100% dependent on you. It's not dependent on your genetics. It depends on what you are doing, your daily habits. Are you eating the food that slowly erodes you on the inside, erodes your hormones, erodes your joints, erodes your brain, so that your memory declines, so that you can't have energy? Or are you eating the foods and having the habits every single day that fuel your cells and fuel your body to have the energy, to have the focus, to have the good mood, because it's all related, so that you can do everything you want to do? So go and look at that email today if you haven't already. Think about your big why. Have the vision of your future self as you're thinking about your big why, and then come share it with us in the group. All right, ladies, anybody else have another question for me today? Okay, so we'll wrap that up for today. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Make sure you're continuously asking any questions that you need asked. Make sure you're watching the session replays if you need to. They are posted every day right after under guides. Make sure you're checking your emails. Make sure you're really immersing yourselves in this process, ladies. Immerse it. Don't come in here half-assing it, right? Come in here 100%. This is non-negotiable. I'm putting myself in it, and no matter what happens, I'm taking the next step, even if it's imperfect. All right? Have a wonderful rest of your day, ladies. I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place.